I've never seen anybody fake it through RDAP the way Hunter did and not take anything away from it. I strongly believe to this day, and if Hunter's watching this, to this day, I still think Hunter deep down wishes he never did any of the stuff that he did, but he's so afraid to openly say it to the public that he'd rather die on a sinking fucking ship other than to openly say, I fucked up. What can I do to make amends on this?
Hey, this is Matt Cox, and I'm here with Dan Wise, and we are going to be talking about Hunter Moore, the most hated man on the internet.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, that's him.
Right.
One and only.
Which is a documentary that came out on Netflix, and Dan is going to explain how he actually knows Hunter Moore, and I've watched the documentary. And Dan's going to explain basically how he ended up representing him in a way.
Strong statement there, Mr. Cox.
In a way, representing him for you're not like a
prison consultant.
Prison consultant. Okay, yeah. I was going to say like a sentencing advocate, but whatever. So same thing. Yeah, it sounds good. See the way I said
sentencing expert.
Okay. Yeah. Oh my God. Why? Because I've been sitting this few times. That's why. So anyway, we're gonna talk about that. And Dan has an interesting story revolving around Hunter and the documentary, which is it's on Netflix, and it's a really good documentary, super interesting, and yeah. So first, I mean, like we have to assume that nobody knows who you are, because
I got a small channel. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say because nobody watches my videos.
Yeah, well, but I feel your pain.
But so you do prison consulting. You were indicted on basically a pill mill indictment. You went to prison. You got out. You went through RDAP, the drug program.
Yep.
We were both there at the same time at Coleman Low at the Coleman complex in
Coleman, Florida.
Yeah, in Florida,
outside Ocala.
But I actually didn't know you at that time. Right. I do remember you showing up and hearing about how you showed up, which is in another video, which is hilarious. So, but you got out and you said, "Hey, you put together the prison consulting and said, I'm going to do this for a living." And you explained that. We talked about that in the other video. But one of your first, I guess you said, well, he's not really a client, but one of the first semi-clients, whatever, was Hunter Moore. So how did you end up coming across him, and what happened there? How did that happen?
So when I got released from prison, I went to Washington State, where I moved there to be near Shelley, and I had this little office, and I really wasn't doing prison consulting yet. I was just kind of making YouTube videos. So right before I went to prison, I posted a video on YouTube talking about all the shit I went through and getting ready to go to prison, didn't know what to expect. So when I came home, that video had a lot of traffic and a lot of questions, people getting ready to go to prison. So prison consulting was never really something I thought of. I just thought it'd be interesting to make response videos to all these people's concerns about getting ready to go to prison. What was it like? What should I have done? And making this content, and I'm constantly getting these emails, these text messages, and I didn't know at the time. I didn't know it was Hunter. He had a handle, an email handle. It was called the Fish Scale, which I didn't even know what that meant at the time, because fish scales is street slang for cocaine. So Hunter Moore was a big cocaine endeavor. I dove in deep into the cocaine, evidently, and that was his name. So for weeks, he's emailing me and texting me through like WhatsApp or something as that fish scale. Never told me his name, asking all kinds of questions and whatnot. And I'm answering the questions because I wasn't charging anybody anything at this point.
Right.
So he's getting closer and closer, and he got sentenced to, I think it was like 30 some odd months he got sentenced to. And he's asking me about RDAP. What can you do to get into RDAP? And I said, dude, without knowing more about your case, like I have no idea. Right. And he said, hey, I'm gonna give you my name, but I ask you, please don't look me up.
Right. Don't do anything.
Don't
do anything I would do.
Don't Google me.
Yeah. Don't put me on a website. Don't post all of my text messages.
But when he said don't look my name up, I just automatically assumed maybe he was a sex offender and he didn't want me to, because that's something a sex offender would say. Well,
I understand. Why did he give you your name? He gave you his name.
Yep.
But not.
He wanted me to look him up on Pacer. but he didn't want me to Google and read any of the stories that were out there about him. So as soon as he gave me his name, of course, the first thing I did was look him up. Right. And there was all these articles on him, the Revenge Porn King, Hunter Moore. Basically, he had a website called Is Anyone Up?
Right.
And he was posting evidently guys and girls that had photos and pictures and videos of each other. Like, let's say you and your girlfriend took a sex video or whatever.
Right.
And you guys
break up.
You break up. You upload that video to Is Anyone Up? And Is Anyone Up has a ton of traffic where they see all this content.
Right.
Which at this time, that wasn't illegal to do that.
Right.
So Hunter said that there was a hacker that was out there that was hacking people's photos and uploading them to the site, and he was getting blamed for it, but it wasn't him.
Right. He had nothing to do with it.
He had nothing to do with it. And then his mother called me, and his mother, sweet woman, and I really believed it. But then when I went to look it up in Pacer, the case was sealed. You couldn't see anything in Pacer. Very limited to what you could see. The indictment was sealed, plea agreement was sealed. Anything that had any relevance to the actual context of the crime was sealed. Most of the people I speak to, and you know this from going through what you went through, there's always a level of what really happened.
Right.
What you say what happened and what you pled guilty to.
Right.
So I did believe there was a level of he didn't do everything they said he did, but he pled guilty to minimize how much time he was looking at. There's really only one way through the feds, and it's taking a guilty plea. So I started helping him, working with him, and I basically stuck with him the entire time he was in prison, helped him get into RDAP, helped him shorten his sentence. He seemed like a nice guy. Like when I talked to him on the phone, he wasn't this person that you would see
on the videos.
Like this, like
super arrogant,
boyish dick.
Yeah, super arrogant, just over the top, like misogynistic. Like just,
a child.
Yeah, he acts like a
frat boy.
I was gonna say like a 12 or 13-year-old boy who just does and says things that he thinks are gonna be cool.
Now, to his defense, he was not that it's a reason, but he was in his early 20s at this point when all this took place. But now he's in his late 30s, so he's not in his 20s anymore.
But he still behaves like this.
He still behaves the same way. Yeah. But so that's how I initially met the notorious Hunter Moore.
So like I watched the video, and it turns out that when you watch the documentary, it turns out that he actually specifically knew who the hacker was and was telling the hacker to hack into people's stuff.
Right.
And the hacker had a whole scheme where he would go on social media, and then he would hit you up and say, "Hey, you're from Facebook.
Yep.
Here's your Facebook account. Here's who you are. We need you to, like, your account was hacked." Or
what he would do is he would hack one person's account. And then once he would let's say he hacked your account,
right?
Gets access to Matt's account. Now he's controlling your Facebook account, sends me a message as you saying, "Hey, Dan, I locked myself out of my Facebook account, or I locked myself out of my phone and I have to reset my passwords. Can I send a text message to your phone?"
Right.
So you think it's me.
Yeah,
right? Or I think it's you.
You think you're helping me out, but the truth is you're actually giving him the passcode to hack into your account.
Yes. So then what would happen immediately is I would get this text. I'd give it to you. You would now take control of my Facebook. You'd go in, change the password. And of course, immediately I figured this out because I can't get into my own Facebook.
Right.
So I go reset it and put it back to normal. But what I didn't know was inside Facebook, you have your recovery email address, and then there's a backup recovery email address. So he would only change the backup recovery email address to the hacker's email. So all these people got hacked. That's how he ended up ultimately getting brought down, was when the Fed started looking into it, all these people's Facebooks that got hacked, the secondary email address was the same email address. This idiot used the same one. So, just because he's a hacker doesn't mean he's fucking intelligent.
Right.
And Hunter claimed he had no idea that this was happening. Which evidently we come to find out later on down the road that he did.
Yeah. There's all these text messages and emails, and it's just back and forth between him and the guy, and he's telling the guy, like, "I don't care. I'll pay you. How much do you want?" Like he's getting him to do this, and he's paying him for the photos and videos that he's downloading.
It was a real hard interview to do, because when he first came home from prison, when he was on probation, I did an interview with him a few years ago through Skype, and it wasn't a bad interview. He was still on probation, so he was kind of walking on eggshells. He wasn't really playing the thug role that he's playing today. So when Netflix released this documentary, The Most Hated Man on the Internet, he was supposed to be on it, and he basically backed out at the last minute. I think he realized there was
no way to put a good spin on it.
There's no way, because unless there's some innocence to it, but when your hand is that caught in the cookie jar, there's really no way. You just make yourself look more foolish.
I think the only real way, first one, there is a way. The only way to really, overcome that is to say, hey, this is what I did, and lean into it and say, it was, when they say, well, you did this and this, and you go, absolutely, I did that, and then even say, sometimes even go further and say, no, listen, and I also did this and this, and truly just take responsibility. The problem is the only people that are willing to do that are people that actually have changed. Anybody who hasn't changed and who doesn't really truly see that what they did was wrong, then those people immediately try and start, well, you have to understand, and they immediately start coming up with all of these excuses. I find that if you just lean into it and own up to it, then they'll realize that you've changed, or that you're accepting responsibility, and people will stand up for you and say, hey, look, he's not a bad guy. He made some mistakes. He's changed, that sort of thing. But Hunter didn't do that at all.
No,
even when he tried, you were like,
it seems like it really came down to he's got a what's it called? It's a forum that he created, a little platform. What's that shit called? Where Discord. You familiar with Discords?
Yeah.
So he's got on Discord, he's got his own little following of heathens on there,
and do nothing but pump him up.
Yeah, and it's all a bunch of like real scummy stuff, still demonizing women and just bashing people and making fun of fat people and stuff like that. And it seems like he's more concerned with being the leader of that group of misfits,
right,
than taking any kind of responsibility, because he really is in a good position if he were to own what he did. You kind of think of like, I'm a prison consultant, and one of the reasons why people trust me and hire me is because I've been through it,
right,
and I'm able to now advocate from the other side. If he took responsibility and said, hey, I was a bully, I was doing these things, I was paying a hacker to do these horrible things and destroy lives, because not only was he getting these stolen images and stolen photos put on Is Anyone Up, he was also then attaching their social media to it. He would attach their Facebook pages, and he would attach their names and their addresses.
Right. I was going to say it progressively, because I remember watching the video, it progressively got worse.
Yep.
And like every time something happened, he was like, before he was putting their social media, and then they came after him, and then he was like, okay, well, now I'm going to put your address. You know what I'm saying? Like he got, your phone number, your ad, like it just kept getting worse and worse.
There was girls that tried to commit suicide. There was a teacher that had sent a picture to somebody, her boyfriend or whatever, behind closed doors, she thought. And the picture got out there, and not only did the picture get posted, her name and her address and all her social media handles.
So she's fired.
She got fired, of course. I mean, and you can't.
And I saw his responsibility. His whole thing was, he's like, well, she fucked up. She shouldn't have sent that. But she sent that to somebody that she was in a relationship with that she trusted. Well, she shouldn't have trusted him.
Right.
And it was just like you're not.
You're just a dick.
Right. Like, come on, bro. Like, she sent that photo. Like, this is a person who has a career, who's worked very hard for that, and sent this to somebody that she felt confident would never betray her trust.
Right.
And either that person was a jerk off, or worse, you had someone hack into hers or their computer and stole it, and then blamed it on her.
It's crazy. In one of the clips that you guys have that I sent you, one of the things that Hunter Moore spoke about was, I don't know if I got the guy's name, the actual hacker, his co-defendant. Hunter tried to say the co-defendant was the leader, and Hunter was part of his conspiracy. So Hunter was trying to say that this guy was the target, and he was on his conspiracy. But if anybody that knows anything about legal documents and looking at PACER and looking at indictments, when there's a conspiracy with several individuals on there, the first name on the indictment is the target normally. Right. So Hunter is listed first, and then I'm trying to see if we got the other guy's name on here. It's in one of the videos. Yeah. Anyway,
well, it's on the Netflix.
It's on Netflix. It's on the videos that maybe you can share some of the links to the interviews we did with him, and all his information's there as well. And when I asked Hunter, when I mentioned the guy's name, he goes, I forgot the guy's name until you just brought it up. He goes, I don't know the guy. I never met the guy. And that's kind of like me saying, okay, technically I never met Hunter.
Right.
We never sat down like this. So technically I don't know you either, Hunter. But
you've seen all the emails
and
the text messages.
When I did the first interview with him, this was the documents were still sealed. Not the first one, I'm sorry. The more recent one after the Netflix series came out. I did the interview with him, and it was very clear. In that interview, I look like a complete scumbag on the interview because it looks like I'm advocating for this guy.
Right.
And I kind of was, because
you didn't really know.
I didn't know his level of involvement. I kind of assumed that, like most people that get wrapped up into the feds, it's a give and take. I didn't know that he was so embedded into what actually took place in making the choices. So after I did the first interview with him, I got an email from somebody that said, hey, the case is unsealed now. So I went and looked in Pacer, and I was able to go review all these documents. And not only did Hunter know that these hacks were taking place, he was directing the guy to open up multiple PayPal accounts using fictitious emails.
Yeah. So he could pay for it. He could pay him.
Yeah. And he was saying, so we don't get caught. He was flat out talking about these things. Even after all of this, if Hunter said, you know what, I get it. He wants to be in the limelight. He needs to feel important. And for him, he'd rather be important to a bunch of maggots than taking the chance of doing the right thing and turning all these people away from him, his little fan club.
Right.
But if he would have looked at the bigger picture, and his opportunity is now he can say, hey, I've been there. I did this to people. I'm the best person to advocate for this because I know what to look for. Just like when you talk about Catch Me If You Can. What's his name?
Right, or Frank Abagnale.
Frank Abagnale. He used his gift of check forgery to now help the government identify check forgery.
Right. And
Hunter chose not to do that. Hunter chose to stick to his story and keep selling this bullshit lie that he had no idea. Destroyed lives. There's a girl. Did you see the part with Butthole Girl?
Oh yeah, there's something's not even right with her in general.
Clearly she was mentally unstable, and the whole thing, the way the whole name came about. I don't know if you remember all the details of it.
Yeah.
It was because
they paid her to.
Well, no, but when they first got her photos, she didn't care. Her photos were up on the internet. She wanted to make a name for herself, but they used her profile picture on Facebook, and in her profile picture was a collage of photos. One of the photos in the background was a picture of her kid. So she said, hey, I don't care if you post my shit. Can you please take that photo down?
Right.
And Hunter said, no. She said, well, I'll do anything. And he goes, well, let me stick a cell phone up your butt and call it. And she said, okay.
Yeah.
Because she wants to get her kid off the internet. Granted, she made some bad choices, probably drug induced. But these are the kind of things that Hunter would.
Well, and he kept escalating it too. It was never enough, right?
Yep.
He kept.
And now she's Butthole Girl.
Yeah.
She wanted to be in porn to some extent.
Yeah.
But she didn't want to be Butthole Girl. She didn't want to be known for that. And that's all she's ever going to be known for now. So the amount of turmoil that he had to consciously do, and where he fucked up, where he was great as the underground maggot leader because nobody knew who he was other than like the underground people. When he decided to go publicly on, was it Dr. Drew?
Oh yeah. How did you think? Listen,
that's where he went sideways because now you're out into the public.
Yeah, and you don't have people that idolize you. These people don't.
No, they're like, oh my God, you're disgusting slime ball.
And the look on his face when Dr. Drew was asking him some of these questions, he's like, well, you could see it's like, wait, this isn't going well. Like I thought I'd be able to spin this, and it just is falling apart.
One of the things that I asked him when I was interviewing him, because he would talk about how he would troll people. And I'm asking him, can you explain to the older generation what trolling is for people that don't know? And he explained it. And I said, is there a difference between trolling and bullying?
Right.
And there really wasn't a difference because he said he wasn't bullying people, but really there was no difference. Yeah. And he got trolled. Dr. Drew trolled him because Dr. Drew basically said, hey, I want you to come on the show, tell your story. But when he got him there, though, it was just like curveball, basically just called him out for what he was doing. And Hunter was thinking he was going to go there and get patted on the back and pumped up for this website he built. And he didn't make money either. He talks about all this money that he made.
Yeah,
Hunter's never had money. Hunter's always lived at home with his mom.
He's a pathetic example of what a man is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And what's even funnier is like his mom, who's apparently seems like a nice person, is
Naive.
calling you and
Naive
begging
as
you,
fuck.
and still trying to like, no, he's a good boy.
I've got a text message from her on my phone after I turned on Hunter recently. She said, Dan, Hunter said you turned on him. Did you really? Is it true?
Oh my God.
And I didn't even respond, but Hunter sent me a bunch of messages on my phone while I was live, telling me how he's going to come to my house and he's going to come fuck me up.
What are you doing?
He's not a gangster. He's not a tough guy. In prison, he was one of my friends at Coleman got transferred to the prison in Texas.
Yazoo's?
No.
Beaumont.
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 Yeah, Beaumont Low. He went to Beaumont Low to go do RDAP. And he was when he got out, he's like, hey, I met one of your friends in RDAP, this guy Hunter Moore. He goes, he was real low key, real quiet, kept to himself.
Of course.
I was like, that's whenever I would talk to Hunter on the phone, he's always like, man, I'm so stressed. He talks about how none of this shit affects him and how he's rocking his life and living the crypto life and making all this money in crypto. I got the messages on my phone. He was supposed to come here to do an interview with me about the Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
Bought him a ticket. Everything was set up. The day he was supposed to fly out around, it was like midnight my time, which was like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock his time, California time. The flight got delayed by 30 minutes. No big deal. I'm like, hey man, text me when you're in the air because it was a layover, and when I wake up in the middle of the night, I'll see where you're at, see what time I need to get to the airport and all this stuff. So I wake up at like 2 a.m, and I see a text going, dude, I don't think I can make it, man. I'm super stressed about this Netflix documentary, and I'm just freaking out about it, and I don't know what to do, and I'm feeling suicidal, and I can't handle this. I don't know why they're coming after me like this, and I'm like, now
I do. I watched the documentary. So I have a pretty good reason.
The documentary wasn't out at this point yet. This was like 3 days before it came out, and I'm pissed because I had spent tickets were kind of expensive at this point. It was like almost $1,000 for his fucking ticket, so I have to decide, do I get pissed or do I try to salvage this to get something out of it? So I get him to agree to do web interview through like Skype or whatever. And one thing I asked him, like, dude, please do me a favor. Let's do the interview still. We'll do it. And he's like, okay. Because he wanted to send me the money back. At least he said he did. And I felt like if he would have given me the money back, he wouldn't have been obligated.
Him
I wanted the content.
Right.
So he agrees to do that, and I say, Hunter, the only thing I ask is set yourself up in a quiet location with a good internet connection.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. This fucking guy comes on the interview on a cell phone, walking around. It looked like he's coked out.
Right.
It's like watching video with one of the guys, one of the interviews that you just did with a guy that just can't quit the drugs.
Yeah.
And and it was like, oh fuck. So we did part 1. On the interview, which wasn't live, it was pre-recorded.
Right.
And then part 2, I was like, hey, let's do it live. And he came on, we did a live one. And I mean, they went great, but then I get the content right after that all the things he told me he didn't know about, I find out he did know about it.
Right.
And it made me look really bad because it's like, Dan, why would you give this scumbag a platform?
Right.
And almost like advocate for the shit that he's done?
Right.
Because
you're saying, like,
I'm prison reform, bro. I'm not going to judge somebody on what they did. It's what they do next after they made their mistake. What they do next is what matters.
Right.
And I was expecting Hunter to take some accountability. I just thought after everything he's been through, he did RDAP, he graduated RDAP, he got the time off. I've never seen anybody fake it through RDAP the way Hunter did and not take anything away from it. I strongly believe to this day, and if Hunter's watching this, to this day, I still think Hunter deep down wishes he never did any of the stuff that he did, but he's so afraid to openly say it to the public that he'd rather die on a sinking fucking ship other than to openly say, I fucked up. What can I do to make amends on this? Because he really could help people if he chose to really own it. But I guess he's the definition of a narcissist, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
psychopath, maybe Jeffrey Dahmer-ish. I think Jeffrey Dahmer did better than he did. I think Jeffrey Dahmer at least lived on his own.
Yeah. I mean,
Can we compare Hunter Moore to Jeffrey Dahmer?
Say he had to because he's keeping body parts in the fridge. Like
who
even Hunter's mom would be like,
who destroyed more lives, Hunter Moore or Jeffrey Dahmer? Jeffrey Dahmer killed a few people, but Hunter Moore destroyed like thousands of people's lives.
Man, definitely. I what's funny is I'm thinking about that the girl who it all started, her mom went after him so bad.
Oh,
never.
Charlotte Laws. I did an interview with her. She came on my channel.
Oh yeah, yeah. She never she is
a narcissist too.
Oh, is she?
It was more about her. It just happened to work to her benefit.
Right.
They wanted her to stop. Once they got her daughter off the site, her daughter and her husband both wanted mom to stop. Mom wanted to be in the spotlight.
I remember the lawyer. Her husband was a lawyer,
yeah.
and he was like, "Look, keep me out of it."
Yeah.
Like he didn't want to help at first. Then he made a few phone calls.
Well, look at her past. Look at Charlotte Law's past. Even when she was younger, she was a star stalker. She would show up at like political parties and like pop in and get pictures with celebrities. She's always wanted to be.
I didn't know that. Is that in the
a little bit.
I watched it like a month ago when it first came out.
If you Google Charlotte Laws and look at her, like she didn't just become big from this. She's been in the limelight. She wrote books on crashing stars parties. She would just show up at like white tie events, black tie events, and just show up at these events and start talking to the celebrities and get pictures with them. And then she became known for this, like, basically, if she was a guy, she would have been a stalker.
Right. But instead, she was
a cute female getting away with it. In her interview, I interviewed her, and it was just, I'm glad she did it because it's really what brought him down. Without her, the government, the cops never would have looked into it.
They weren't going to do anything. They weren't going to help anybody.
They weren't. And that's just how the cops are. We all know, especially when it's a federal case. Feds don't really do any work. Somebody kind of hands it to them. Somebody snitches on somebody else, and it kind of falls apart from there. But it worked out for her because she wanted to stay in the spotlight. And she was wealthy. She had a rich husband at home. So she was the one that when her daughter said she didn't post these pictures to the internet, of course, everybody thought she did.
Right.
Everybody's like, okay, of course you didn't do it. Everybody says that. So what she did was around the time that her daughter's pictures showed up on Is Anyone Up, she looked at all the other girls' pictures that showed up at the same time, and she individually started reaching out to these girls.
Right.
And by doing that, they found the common denominator of the Facebook secondary email, and that's how it got brought down. So she did.
Well, and she went and complained several times, and they brushed her off until she came back because they were like, it's not a crime until she came back and said, listen, 25 of these girls, did not all get hacked the day before, 2 days before.
It was when the email address, when they saw the same email address.
And then they went through and they looked and they put it all together and they were like, okay, now you've got a federal case. Hacking is illegal.
Yep.
You want to play the clip?
He once got plastic surgery because he didn't like the photo on his wanted poster. His legend precedes him. The way indictments precede arrests. He is the most interesting man in the world.
I don't typically commit crime, but when I do, it's bank fraud. Stay greedy, my friends.
Support the channel. Join Matthew Cox's Patreon.
I woke up, you wake up, you look at your phone, 200 notifications.
There it was, topless, multiple photos.
It was an absolute shock.
Shit, I got posted on the site.
IsAnyoneUp.com. I felt violated.
Humiliation. That site was about destroying lives. Who would create a website like this?
This is Hunter Moore from IsAnyoneUp.com. Fucking all your girlfriends.
Hunter Moore, also known as the most hated man on the internet.
And his website is Anyone Up.
Me and my friends would just post a bunch of girls, and I was like, yo, I can make money out fucking people over.
He thought of himself as the king of revenge porn.
He made it appear that you would be very successful by being a complete sociopath on the internet.
And it pissed me off.
I pleaded with him to please remove these images, and the response that I got, LOL.
Has there been any individual you've just felt sorry for to the point that you take something down?
No, it's just too much fun.
But the one thing he didn't anticipate was Charlotte Laws.
He came after my daughter.
He needed to be brought down.
If he feels threatened by somebody, he won't let it go.
Dude, without bullying, I don't know what I'd do.
Hunter had a set of followers who I think were deranged.
And I felt like they're really coming after me now.
He was escalating and escalating.
I had one goal, get the site taken down.
It's gonna get a lot worse.
He was planning something even more dangerous.
He didn't expect any accountability.
Hunter, what do you have to say?
Where's all the mouth? Where's all the talk?
You had the power to ruin someone's life with just one click.
I don't know why all these people, hate me. I'm just making money off your nude pictures.
Yeah. So that was anyway, I watched it. I thought it was great. But
Did you watch all 3 episodes?
Yeah.
3 parts, whatever you call it.
But it was like a month ago, like the Charlotte Long thing. Like I didn't.
Charlotte Laws.
What?
Laws, which is perfect name for her.
The other problem is when I'm watching, I'm painting. Like I'll turn it on and I'm painting.
Background noise.
Yeah.
But it's interesting though.
Right.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll turn and check.
The creators of this documentary are the same ones. I don't know if you ever saw Don't Fuck with Cats.
No, but I've
or
heard.
The Tinder Swindler.
I've heard. I saw the Tinder
That's
Swindler.
the same people that did that are the ones that did this documentary.
It's funny. The Tinder Swindler seemed better. I mean, shot better, produced better.
It was. So is Don't Fuck with Cats.
Oh, okay.
That was way better too.
And this one seemed very much like it was a more low budget.
It's because he's a low budget kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and then the people you're interviewing too, like the people in the Tinder Swindler, like they had money.
This is like we're gonna go interview a strip club owner.
Yeah.
How exciting is it really?
Yeah.
It's just smut. It's a bunch of trashy smut.
It's probably hard to even get a decent place to shoot. You know what I'm saying? And God only knows what that person's gonna say. So, but like I'm wondering. So this guy's out. Like, what does a guy like this do? Like, based on, like, I get it. You've got a bunch of fans.
And they're not real fans.
Right. Well, first of all, those kinds of fans, right? Because let's face it, like, I have fans, but you have, like, different types of people have different types of fans, right? So,
these are the kind of fans that would love to see him get in trouble again. Like,
okay.
They like to watch him crash and burn.
Right. Or I was going to say, if they are somebody who likes him and likes to see him trash people, those aren't typically the kind of people that are going to join your Patreon and pay $50 a month. Like they're not. These are the guys that they live with their mom. They spend all their money on pot and Xanax, and like they're not functioning. These aren't functioning individuals. For somebody who to say, hey, wow, and idolize this guy. This isn't somebody who's bringing in $100,000 a year and can join your.
He wrote a book,
help support you in any way.
He wrote a book about the whole thing that he released after prison, and he was trying to release it while he was on probation, and he couldn't because probation was kind of stopping him. And the fucking book looks like, I'm pretty sure all of the edits and grammar were done by him because it's
horrible.
It's like, oh my God, who?
You can pay somebody to write your book.
100% could have done a better job on this book. And it's almost, he wanted me to promote the book. So after I read it, I was like, I can't get behind this, dude, because it looks like it was written by a third grader. It should have been a coloring book. It should have been.
And what was he basically saying?
Like,
like it wasn't my fault.
No. He was glorifying the life that basically these dumb whores knew what they were doing.
Oh, okay.
These whores are the ones that did it. Yeah. It's just, you got to think that I could never imagine this guy, like you asked, what's next for Hunter Moore.
Right.
I can't see him ever getting married. I can't see him finding any self-respecting woman that would want to have kids with him. He's got a little niece that doesn't know about this stuff, and they're just now finding out because of the Netflix series. And his family that has kids that didn't know the whole dynamic of this now won't let their kids around him. Like, they're like, dude, you're basically one step away from like a child pornography.
Yeah, you're the kind of guy
pedophile.
You're specifically the kind of person that parents don't want their children to hang out with. Specifically,
hates women. The reporter that was on, I don't know if you remember the reporter that was on the Netflix series. I forgot her name. She traveled with him a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And she was talking about how she thinks he's very confused about his sexual identity, how she thinks he hates women so much, but secretly he's gay. That's really the thing that everybody kind of jumps to, is because in the limousines and stuff, whatever, somebody's sexual preference is on them, but he bashes gay people to death, but yet he's in the limousine making out with men and getting orally fixated from these men. But then none of this was supposed to be public, but then the reporter who was doing a piece on him, kind of putting him in a good light, when she started putting all the pieces together, she wrote a whole separate article, and it cut his head off.
I'm sure, and he hated her.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Even listen, let's say you did something completely, you did a fucked up video on me and said, oh, Matt this and Matt that, and I went off camera, he said this and said this and that. Like, what I'm not going to do is text you and call you and threaten to come to your house, and I'm going to, kidnap your fucking dog, or I'm gonna fucking trash your car. I'm gonna get you, motherfucker. Like, I'm not gonna do that. You know what I mean? Like, that is childish behavior, that you're doing something like that in the spur of the moment. That's not even like a psychopath. That's a sociopath. That's somebody who doesn't have control. That's somebody who gets into barroom fights. And
well, August 8th is when I did the live stream where I kind of retracted everything that I'd said about him. And this is after I read the criminal indictment, when it became public information. And during the interview, or during the live stream at 5:33 p.m., he says, yo, you serious with this shit? He goes, all right, bro, you want to do it like this? We can. Really want to catch a case over this? That's what we're going to do. I've already got 3 in the works. You want to be one? I'm relentless and have the money. When your little stream with 7 people is done, clear your head and see what you want to do next. I suggest taking the video down, or we can squabble. It's really on you. I'll give you a day to think about it. Then I didn't respond. Answer, faggot.
You should have sent him back the LOL like you did with those girls.
I did, LOL. And he goes, all right, I know your gay ass is reading this. I said, this is all being forwarded. Forward it, pussy. Answer your phone. Bro, I got your address. Get a stick. I'm coming. Answer, ho. All red on stream. Stay like this? Stay scared, pussy. He goes, whatever, I'm going to go to Shelly then, because I wouldn't respond. So he thinks he's going to go get... Like, I've dealt with the stalker. So the things he's saying are very... I'll tell you, these are typically what would trigger somebody to go, oh my God. I'll tell you, any real stalker that shows up, you don't know they're coming until they're at your fucking door.
No.
Yeah, let me give you let me come to your house and beat you up and send you a full text that I'm going to do it first so you can go show the cops.
Right. It's the quiet guy in the corner you have to worry about.
Yeah. Yeah. So when he started sending that, and then his mom sent me a text almost right after this. Dan, Hunter says you turned on him.
Yeah.
Is it true? And I felt bad for this woman, but I'm like, you know what? Maybe if you had dealt with this kid,
created this little monster
with not treating him like poor Hunter, he didn't know any better. He's not fucking 20 years old. He's a grown fucking man.
Does he still live at home?
He does. Which, whatever. But where's he going to go? What's he going to do for work?
Right.
Especially the Netflix. I bet he didn't leave his fucking house. And if I read the text messages about when he canceled his flight, bro, I'm stressing out over this Netflix documentary. But then when he comes on camera, he's like, man, this shit ain't phasing me, bro. I love it. It sells more books. Nobody's buying your illegitimate, unreadable paperback book that is typed on a prison typewriter and never done better. He's created an environment for himself that the only way out of it is to ask for salvation, basically. Religion, you give up to serenity, right? Alcohol, you give up to a higher power. All of these things that change who you are inside out. Life coaching, you have to give up and realize you don't have all the answers. You can't control the outcome. You just got to pop the fucking pimple, let all the pus out, and then start the healing process. His problem is he's trying to hold all of this who he was. He's trying to hold on to that because he's
horrible visual.
His little fan club.
Right.
His horrible visual, but that's what he's doing.
Right.
Right? He's created this nasty pus pocket of a life.
People are switching the channel. He's going to probably put up a big pus thing, like a popping pimple.
He's talking about pus pockets and Jeffrey Dahmer.
All of a sudden, there's going to be on the screen.
But that's how I relate to him, because it's like gutter trash. And Shelly was so fucking mad. Shelly's like, you almost had this motherfucker in my house. Because we were going to put him up. We set up, I had my office was at my house for the longest time until we opened the studio. And I partly escalated opening the studio to set up the other bedroom So when Hunter came, so I didn't have to spend another $1,000 on a fucking hotel.
Right.
And, you know, it didn't work out, but it worked out. I'll tell you, I was really upset at first. I made the money back on the views, but it opened my eyes to don't bring somebody on your channel just assuming that they're going to go in a direction that you think they're going to go in.
Right.
And if they don't, damn it, Dan, you better have the balls to call them out, because it really did. I can't even watch the video I did with him because it's so cringe watching myself kind of like not know how to respond to the stuff he's saying. It's almost like I basically like pussied out and didn't want to call him out when he was talking all his shit, because I'm like, I was so caught off guard.
Right.
And I'll never do that again.
This was after you realized what was happening.
Yeah. No.
Or beforehand.
Right before the Netflix series came out, it was promoted. It was coming out. I had him on.
Right, but you
thinking he was going to take accountability.
Okay, this is after you knew what was happening. You had read the indictment. You'd read it all unsealed. No. Oh, okay, so you didn't know.
I did. So I did the old interview a couple of years ago.
Right.
And then I did the new one. And then I did a live stream with him. And then right after the live stream, I got an email about the shit was unsealed. But watching his response.
So after that, after you read all that, you didn't then have another.
Then I did, yeah. Then he wouldn't come back on after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because I basically sent him an email. I said, Hunter, or a text message. I said, Hunter, you're saying, I was like, there's documents with emails back and forth.
You didn't get him on. You didn't say, hey, let's do this.
He would have hung up. He would have hung up 100%. 100%. Yeah.
That's too bad.
But
I'd rather get the hung up.
Yeah, you're right.
That would have been great.
I'm really upset at myself for not, because even before I saw the documents, just seeing how he was responding, because it was like, even if he did not know that the hacking was going on, let's say he didn't know, let's say he was innocent of that.
Yeah.
And he took a plea deal so he didn't get more time.
Right.
There's still a lot there that he, looking back, I'm like,
well, his behavior alone.
And that's what I was trying to get to.
People are calling you up saying, look, man, my kids' pictures in the background, or hey, listen, like you're putting me in danger.
Yeah.
Hey, look,
ruining my life.
Yeah, I got fired for this. I have 2 kids and I got fired, and you're saying, well, you shouldn't have fucking sent that picture to your ex-boyfriend, you fucking whore. And it's like, what?
And I was hoping that he was gonna, and I kept saying, hey, Hunter, so that was the 20-year-old version of you. Now you're the mid 30-year-old version.
Right.
And I said to him, what would the mid 30-year-old version of yourself now say to the 20-year-old version? He goes, I would just go 10 times harder. And I'm like, and I was like, how do I respond to this? That's where I was feeling myself kind of like.
That's what he said?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would just go 10 times harder.
I think.
If you're now an adult.
On some of these clips here, I think so. I cropped myself out from asking the question because it's so cringe watching myself ask these questions. I just put the words up. So is this the first one? Yeah. So this is where I asked him, I said, Hunter, what are your thoughts on Netflix series of the most hated man of the internet? And then when we asked him, this was his answer.
It's a little difficult situation because I did my time, and I'm not so much worried about myself. I'm more just worried about, like my immediate friends and family having to deal with this stuff all over again. And that's pretty much the only negative, I guess.
So that was his answer. His only negative from all of this was that he and his immediate family are being affected. There was no remorse for any of the people struck by this. You just want to play all the?
Yeah. Let's.
Right. What's this one?
So before we did the interview, I had you talk to Amanda. She had ran my fan page the whole time, and you got to understand, like, the website, like this whole narration of what the website was today, because it's been controlled by all these green-haired goblins. But, it's all about clickbait and pushing traffic and all that stuff, and they've controlled the narrative. But, my parents, everybody was so supportive of everything because it wasn't that. Like, it was just this funny, hilarious website, and that had this funny, crazy, quirky community, and it wasn't anything malicious then, or and I'm not justifying saying that nobody was hurt or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, for the time and what it actually was, it was like, wow, everyone was like proud of me, to be honest with you.
That would be a good interview for you. The girl Amanda he's talking about there that ran his Facebook fan page.
Right.
He had me talk to her right before he did the interview with me because he wanted me to understand it better because he couldn't explain what his website was.
Right.
Other than what it seems to be. So she was all about Hunter. And after all of this happened, he turned on her and she is like devastated over this. Like it ruined her life. She
devastated because she
now sees him who he really is.
Oh, okay.
On the Discord, he always kind of protected her. And when he talked about her on the interview, people are like, "Who's Amanda? Is she hot? She's some dumb bitch that you're fucking this and that."
Right.
And he wouldn't defend her. So she got upset that he wouldn't defend her.
Right.
And but I won't interview her because I feel like she's too mentally unstable. But I don't know if she can handle the hate that comes her way. That's why I won't do it. But she wants to do an interview. So if you want to,
I'll interview her. I'm just wondering. Like she was the one who's running the site.
She was running his Facebook fan page when it was like for the last 10, 15 years while he was in prison. She was writing him, sending him letters. I love you. She said they started dating, even though they never really met, really, other than like once or twice in person. Almost like all his other fans. They're kind of like these underground people that don't have real lives.
Right.
They attach themselves to a fictitious person because it's safe. It's kind of like prison wives.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing. So when he showed her the true colors and she wasn't anybody special to him, she couldn't believe it. It like devastated her. She's calling me every day and I started seeing the unstable there. And I told her, I was like, Amanda, I don't think it would be helpful for you to come on and do an interview. I think it could really hurt your mental health because I don't see what you're going to get out of this. But yeah,
I'll do one with her. I'm not concerned about it. No, I'm just joking. But I don't know her. No. But I mean, I'll do one with her. I don't know. I don't know how you're.
Maybe talk to her first.
I was going to say I probably need to talk to her first.
Yeah, have a conversation with her.
I'm not understanding. I guess I'm not understanding what you're saying.
Okay, so she was in
she's
support
like
of Hunter. Hunter did nothing wrong.
That's what she's saying now.
No,
he did nothing wrong.
No.
She was saying
that. And now I said to her, Amanda,
hacking's illegal.
I said, Amanda, if you do an interview with me, you have to realize that we're going to have to talk about the fact that you turned a blind eye. That it's evident you knew what he was doing, but you cared more about him being nice to you than what he did to all these other women.
Right.
So I said, you can't do the interview and say, fuck Hunter, without saying, I knew he was doing this and I was guilty for associating myself and promoting it.
Right.
So that's why she says she can handle that, but I don't think she can.
Buried by the U.S. government and ignored by the national media, this is the story they don't want you to know. When Frank Amadeo met with President George W. Bush at the White House to discuss NATO operations in Afghanistan, no one knew that he'd already embezzled nearly $200 million from the federal government, money he intended to use to bankroll his plan to take over the world. From Amadeo's global headquarters in the shadow of Florida's Disney World, with a nearly inexhaustible supply of the Internal Revenue Service's funds, Amadeo acquired multiple businesses, amassing a mega conglomerate. Driven by his delusions of world conquest, he negotiated the purchase of a squadron of American fighter jets and the controlling interest in a former Soviet ICBM factory. He began working to build the largest private militia on the planet, over 1 million Africans strong. Simultaneously, Amadeo hired an international black ops force to orchestrate a coup in the Congo while plotting to take over several small Eastern European countries. The most disturbing part of it all is, had the U.S. government not thwarted his plans, he might have just pulled it off. It's insanity, the bizarre, true story of a bipolar megalomaniac's insane plan for total world domination. Available now on Amazon and Audible.
The donkey story. Oh, that donkey story was like, it was just super, just disturbing, and people, people in the comments were disturbed, and then people would get mad at me because YouTube made us cut part of the donkey story out. Like this guy told us about going to Mexico and going to a real life donkey story.
I had a guy in prison that had a donkey. And he told me what would really go on
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This guy tells the whole thing. It's disgusting.
The only thing that got me was the smell that he talked about.
Stop it, bro. Because this guy goes on and on and on about the smell. He's like, it's like he's. Listen, unfortunately for and the guy's name is Johnny. His name is Jeff Crean, but his name, they call him Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker is unfortunately a great storyteller and extremely descriptive in a way that turned my stomach. Like it was,
yeah.
And so we put the full interview on my Patreon, and then people got pissed off in the comments because we wouldn't show the whole video. It was like, I can't show
YouTube
the
will
whole
take it
video.
down.
They're taking it down. They're saying that.
Yo, this kid in RDAP.
And I was doing him a favor. Like YouTube did you a big favor. Like for the first time, I'm always big on like no censorship.
Shit like that could shut your channel down. Not just the video. That could like tank the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
This kid in RDAP, we used to have to tell these like speeches, and he gave this speech about his best friend. The best friend's name was Chewy. He goes through this whole like 4.5 minute speech, and at the end we find out the whole time Chewy's a donkey. And then after, I'm like, dude, you just told a whole story about your best friend. That's a donkey. He starts laughing. He goes, yeah, actually, Chewy was a donkey that we had sex shows with. And I was like, oh, I've always wanted to go. He goes, no, you don't want to go to one.
No.
He starts talking about the smell, and people right now don't know what I mean. Maybe they do. Just imagine if you took.
Oh, please don't.
You know the adult bookstores where they have the back room where guys can go watch videos and do their business?
I've heard.
Imagine if those back rooms, if they just made the mess.
There was no cleanup.
And they didn't clean it for like a month, and it was hot and steamy, and that
this
smell.
This is going to get
Well,
this
that's
is going
all
to be
we'll
taken
talk.
off.
We didn't even mention anything other than
So
anyway,
he explained the whole thing, and he just, it was so what's so funny
graphic.
What's so funny about Johnny Walker is he said, like, he and his like 4 or 5 buddies, like he's like, we all left. When we left, we got in the car. We drove for, he said, it was like an hour. He goes, nobody
said a word.
said a fucking word. Like everybody was just, he said, and
no one's seeing that.
He said funny. He said at one point he said, finally after like an hour and a half drive, he said I finally went, was anybody else oddly aroused?
Wow.
And I was like,
No.
oh my God. He said, I mean, just in a weird way. It was like,
I have a weak fucking stomach, and when people start talking about I literally get like the heaves going. Like I can't. Oh God, it's gag reflex. Yeah. Anyway,
but
back to Hunter Moore.
Well, back to Shelly. I mean, not Shelly. To what was the girl? Amanda. Yeah, Amanda.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'll have a conversation with her and talk to her, and I do an interview. I'll talk to her. Like,
I mean, she would make a great interview.
I'm interested in the page. I'm interested in the the analytics. Like, what are you guys figuring out? Who's watching? How are you advertising?
She wasn't advertising. Basically, Hunter had nothing to do with the page. She was just a fangirl
who's running it for free. Fucking ridiculous.
Because she was like a prison wife. Like obsessed with Hunter. And because he gave her some attention,
right,
and would say nice things to her, he would say all these other mean things to all these other people, but he would be nice to her,
right.
So she turned a blind eye to his disgustingness because she was benefiting from it,
right. Well, it's like a lot of these guys. Like I know a guy that this chick from high school contacted him. They had known each other in high school. Like that's it. Never dated, never really, just kind of were in some of the same classes, knew each other, were nice to each other, had lunch sometimes, went to a couple parties together. Like they clearly, like I definitely remember her. She remembers me. She contacts him in prison. They start dating. She's overweight. They date they start, she starts coming to see him every couple of weeks in prison for like 3 or 4 or 5 years. They get out. She actually loses weight. Because she's like, when you get out, like I'm expecting we're going to see each other, and he says, to be honest with you, he said, I don't want this to sound mean, but I don't really like big girls. And she's like, it's the weight, and he's like, I mean, I'm sorry, it's just I want to be, I like everything about you, I want to be attracted to you, but let's face it, you're, and she goes, I'll lose it. She lost like 60 pounds within like a year or so, 60 pounds, like. They got out. They dated for a couple months. Boom, it was over.
Yeah.
And he really, genuinely, I don't think was necessarily taking advantage of her, but
when you're in that situation, you feel like you're being sincere at the time.
Right. Well, but I mean, I know some guys who are just vicious.
Right.
That like they're just blatantly lying, promising everything.
They call them sponsors. They got a bunch of girls. Yeah.
Like their girls are putting money on their books. They're running them around. They're go call so and so, do this, do that, send my buddies. I'm like, they're just like, and these girls are doing this all thinking when I get out, I'm gonna date this guy. He's in great shape. He works out. Like he loves me because I'm loyal.
You think they really think that?
I think some of them do because they know that date's coming.
Do you think they're so broken and they're so damaged
that they hope he stays?
Every relationship they've had has been bad, and now their communication with the prison inmate, it's all happy emails, it's all happy phone calls. They know where the guy's at. There's a level of security there. The closer it gets to release date, it's almost like you see a self-sabotage coming behind it.
Really? Oh, see, I think that like they know the guy's getting out, and they think that because they've been so steadfast and loyal and supportive that the guy is going to get out and reciprocate. And the truth is, the guy's just using you.
Yeah.
You know? What was it? There was this one TV show about that kind of thing where, and the guy, like the girl's visiting him, and he's clearly using her. I mean, it's so obvious. Like they're sitting there.
Her whole family's telling her.
Yeah. It's
Dr.
so obvious.
Phil's telling her.
Well, they're getting married, and the film crew, they're like, so you're getting married? And he's like, yeah, I mean, I guess so. And they're like, so are you happy? Like, I mean, you know, do you love her? And he goes, yeah, okay, whatever, bro. Yeah, I love her. And it's just like, wow, you don't even pretend. And she's just in all of this
picking
guy.
out her wedding dress.
Yeah.
And,
you know, she's 60, 70 pounds overweight. He's in good shape because he works out all the time.
Yeah.
And they barely feed. It's a state prison. They're barely feeding him. Like to him, it's like, you're somebody who sends me commissary, and all I have to do is be semi-polite to you. Mm-hmm. And she's thinking he's going to get out and they're going to be married and stay married. And
I bet if you look at her past, she's probably abusive relationships, toxic relationships. That's probably the best relationship she's had. That's how fucking sad it is to become that delusional when everybody around you sees it.
There was a guy in locked up. I was locked up with, and he actually sold business plans, and part of the business plan was you've got to get out, you got to get a loan for like $50,000. And they were like, well, how do I do that? I don't have good credit. And part of his loan was you get a fat girl with good credit. That was, I mean, literally, he wrote that.
That's in the plan?
In the plan. First thing, obtain fat girl with good credit.
Chapter 4, fat girl with good credit. Fat girl 700 plus.
Like, how do you sleep?
You can't skip this part, guys.
This is important. Do you have good credit now? No, bad credit. Nothing but bad credit. Okay. Go to page 3.
Low self-esteem.
Then you start on page 3.
Credit. God, fucking horrible.
It's like one of those. It's one of those business plans where it's like one of those
pop-up books.
No, the choose your own destiny books from like the Dungeons and Dragons when you were a little kid. And it's like, okay, you have 3 choices. Do you have good credit, moderate credit, bad credit? Bad credit. Turn to page 12. Okay, get a fat girl with fucking good credit.
They have video games like that now where you get to pick like, what do you want the person to do? Do you want to run? Do you want to stay?
Yeah. That's what those old books were. That was my video game. Connor, that was my video game.
Yeah.
My video games before they had like these real like
Did you
first
play
person
D&D
shoot. No, stop it, bro. Stop. They were books. They were called Choose Your Own Destiny, and you would read 3 or 4 pages, and it would give you different choices. And then it's like, what are the hey, there's a dragon here. Do you want to fight the dragon? Do you want to hide, or do you want to run?
Each choice would lead to a different page.
Different page. So you turn to page 16, and you okay. And then it says, okay, you fight the dragon, and then 3 pages later, you're dead.
Right.
You know. And then you go, where was the other page? I let it go to run.
Netflix has it's a movie or a show where you're watching it, and like every 10, 15 minutes, you'll get to pick. You have to use your remote, and you'll pick what the person, they can either say this or say this, and it changes the course of
the story.
Yeah, it's pretty. I think that shit's kind of it's not there yet. It's not innovative enough. But
I mean that could end up being like 8 hours of film that ends up for everybody. It ends up only being an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I
don't think the market's there
film.
for it.
Yeah.
Video games maybe, but movies not yet. Nobody wants to fucking hold a remote and have to pay attention. I got to put down the joint to pick my next choice here. But yeah, back to
So
Netflix and chill.
Yeah. Hold on a second. What is it? What happened? Yeah. Tell her I love her. Okay. So what? Okay. So what's the next one here? What's the next clip?
Are you sorry for what you did? Did we watch that one?
No.
Okay.
No, it wasn't. The other one was about the Netflix thing and how it affects him.
Look at you with the mind of an elephant.
The elephant show.
Flat out no. First of all, I mean, this probably sounds horrible, but I'm proud of what I created. I'm proud of the community that I created. Now, how do I wish I would have gone about it in a different way? 100%. And, I'm obviously more than sorry for, and I definitely would love to apologize to people that were affected negatively by the website.
Well, here's the opportunity.
But besides that, I did do my time. I feel like I did pay my dues. And it wasn't all negative. And I had a great time, and I would definitely do it over and over again.
That is a fucking horrible. That reminds
me.
So
contradicting.
Yeah, it is absolutely.
I wish I could say sorry to everybody, but I wish I could do it all over again.
I wish I'd done it. Yeah, I wish I'd done it differently, but I wish I could do it. I would definitely do it all over again. So here's the thing, and I see this with guys all the time, where they sold drugs. I always love it. Like they sold drugs. They had a bunch of kids that they didn't take care of. They absolutely just trashed a ton of people's lives. Like they abused people their whole life. They end up going to prison. They do 15 years. They get out. Their kids are grown. They don't know them. They've put everybody through hell. Parents have died while they were in there. They've just trashed. Like everybody who's made the mistake of crossing their path, they trashed.
Right.
And then you say, so are you sorry for what happened? Like, would you do it again? Like, would you? And they go, absolutely, man. It made me the man I am today. It made me that, like,
if it wasn't for those things, I wouldn't be who I am.
Yeah, Well, most the people that answer that, I noticed the people that answer that are scumbags. Like the people that say, I know that's the appropriate answer. Like that's the answer all tough guy, cool guys. Well, I want to give that answer.
Right.
No, I like me. I like the person I've evolved into. I like this. But the truth is, I wish I could go back, and I wish I could just get a job at Walmart, work in the fucking back room, teach my kids Little League class. You know what I'm saying? Be a regular person.
Right.
Because that's like the backbone of America. And that's what makes all the things that you and I take for granted work. You know what I mean? Like that's the real trooper. That guy that works 40, 50 hours a week, busts his ass, takes care of his fucking kid. Like he's 10 times the man that I'll ever be. Like, so for me, my answer is, I wish to God I'd fucking made the right fucking calls. And I had those opportunities over and over and over again. And he answers this fucking question like a complete fucking sociopath, fucking douchebag.
Like no thought at all into it.
Right.
Literally answering as the brain cell hears it. He's responding with no.
What's the cool answer? Yeah. What's the cool thing that everybody will think is
what
a cool thing?
What do my little douchebag fans want to hear?
Right.
That's the answer I'm going to give them.
Right.
He sees him because he was on the cover of Rolling Stone's magazine way back when.
Yeah.
He's still living off of that mindset because at one point he was cool in the industry before they knew exactly the extent of what happened.
Right.
He was just this guy that had this website, but
and it was blowing up and he had tons of popularity.
He was getting advertisers and stuff. But once they started seeing
the true content, then the advertisers fall back.
And you think Nike? You think fucking Coca-Cola is going to buy an ad in your smut destroying lives magazine?
Right.
No, of course not. But even with what you just said, I wish I could have been the kind of person that would have been happy getting a job at like a Walmart.
Right.
Like when you did what you did, title fraud. What was for you? What was the biggest driving force? If you had to summarize it, and your options are money, fame, clout.
I would say it wasn't fame. It was initially it was money, but then once I got the money, I kept going. So I know that ultimately it was look, one, it's a great feeling to beat the banks.
Exhilarating.
Yeah, it's exciting, but it was more about being respected and being admired and having,
So now jump forward to where you are today. What's your biggest driving force for doing podcasting, YouTubing? It's not that different, right?
No, it's almost exactly the same, but the difference is that I'm happy.
And you're not doing it at the expense of hurting somebody else. You've created boundaries.
Yeah, right.
It's the same thing. And Hunter's probably got that same thing. He just doesn't know how to identify it, how to explain it. He hasn't done any introspection on it.
Right.
Like, you're the same person you were. You still have the same desire. You're not the same person, but you have the same thrill that makes you feel alive. That's still there. It's still who you are. It's your burning desire, but you're able to recreate it in a way that
it still meets that need without having to
looking over your shoulder, getting plastic surgery,
without having to be worried about ended up being some guys, Bubba's
destroying lives and families,
Selly or ended up going to prison and asking Jess to put money on my books, and without having to do all that. Like I get the same. Definitely I get the same thing. I mean, the money obviously is not there.
Right.
But then again, once I went to prison after a year or so, really looking at myself, and like I wrote a memoir about wrote a memoir about myself. Obviously, memoirs about yourself. So I wrote a memoir, and I started, really looking at myself, and I very clearly realized that I had all that money, and I was never happy. I was happier in prison than I ever was on the street.
We get that with a lot of our clients on the consulting side, guys that are going to prison that have run scams and whatnot. They all tell me, they're like, man, I can't wait to get out and just live a simple life. And I'm like, you're not going to get out and live a simple life. The reasons why you went to prison, that DNA makeup that you have, that's still the same DNA that you're going to be when you get out. So to think that you're going to kill that exciting thing that makes you feel alive and go get a job at a 9-to-5 somewhere, all you're doing is setting yourself up for the next scam, really.
Yeah.
You have to find something that can give you that same thrill, but it's just replacing the drug dealing with podcasting, replacing for you and I, it happens to be making content.
Right.
And as much as we want the money from it, I'm a little bit of a camera. I love to be on camera. I love people to affirmations. I've learned how to take bad compliments. I've learned how to not allow it to affect me. And that was my big thing before, is I wanted to create this facade of how I wanted people to see me.
Yeah.
And now I'm realizing that when you just kind of let things be and do the right thing kind of for the right reasons, you can't make everybody happy. But I live an exciting life. I get to make content all day long. I got a cool YouTube studio. I get to come do shit like this. I don't know how well I would do sitting in a cubicle 9-to-5 every day. Yeah. I don't know if I could do it.
That I'm going to get out and just get a regular job. Like, absolutely, for the first few years. First of all, it was like, if I ever get out. But two, it was, if I do get out, then I'm going to get that job. And I think I could have done that job for a few months. But very quickly, that job wasn't going to wasn't going to fulfill that need.
You would have been feeling it.
And it could have gone bad for me.
The itch would have been there.
Right. So I got lucky that I've slowly moved in, did a bunch of different things and moved into this space. And I'm able to make this work for me.
You're a smart dude, man. A lot of people can say what they want. But I've told you this before. First time I met you, I thought you were just like, I didn't know how to take you. I thought you were just creating this image, but you're really just this jerk. And really,
you're not all that off.
But you're not creating the image. You are who you are. The guy you see here is the same guy. Watching you and Jess interact, it's so funny because I have other friends, couples, that saying the kind of things that you guys would say openly to each other would set off monumental arguments, like World War III. And it's over nothing.
Yeah.
And you guys know that and get that. And it's why it's like, you guys can be pissed off in a moment and then 5 minutes from now be completely fine because there's no carrying over the grudging and I'm going to hold this on until tomorrow. And that's kind of, it's kind of who you are, which is cool.
I'll make some kind of snide little comment or say something or really honestly not say anything. I don't think I've really said anything. And she'll go upstairs and she'll be like, and I go, what? That upset you? That upset you? I said this and this. That's what got. She's like, all right, no, it's fine. And she'll walk off and I'm like, come on. And then 10 minutes later, she'll come downstairs and walk in and sit on the couch and lean up against me, and she'll go, I thought about it. I'm all better now. It was definitely me.
Yeah, but it requires that you didn't get triggered and go, you know what, if you go, fuck you then. Go walk upstairs.
Yeah.
That's kind of a reaction she may have gotten in the past from other people.
Well,
that
she's
not,
also been in jail. Like you have to admit, like going to jail makes almost everything else just seem silly.
Yeah.
Like you hear, like you watch social media and you hear about, like gender politics and just people getting furious because, oh, you're Trump, you're Biden.
You can't leave your house.
And
dude, I couldn't leave a fucking.
Yeah, like
I couldn't leave a yard.
Like it was ridiculous. That was funny when the TikToks were going along.
Yeah.
Where they were like the difference between people that have gone to prison and people that haven't. There were guys that are like just kicked back, like watching TV, like hello, I'm good, but they got a bunch of top ramen soup, and they're like,
I got a remote, a TV, and there's not a bunch of men farting and burping around me.
Other people are running around their house screaming like, I'm trapped. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. But it just shows it's what you're. That's why I get guys that get sentenced to 6 months and they're freaking out. And my initial reaction is, God, it's always. But to them,
I get like
it's the end of the world. Like it's relevant to them.
And I hate to do that. Because like I had, remember the guy Matt Lalonde?
Yes, he's supposed to come on to do one with me.
Oh, okay. Like when he explains, like he's like, I was sentenced to like, I forget what it was like. It was short. It was 3 to 6 months or something. And he was like, and he's thinking about like suicide. He's just traumatized by it. And he goes to prison a few different times. And I'm like, bro, come on. Like I've stood in line. Like I kind of start to laugh about it. And then I think, wait a minute. Like stop. It doesn't matter what you've done. Out of everybody I've ever talked to in prison, I've only met maybe 1 or 2 guys that literally said, I'm happy with what I got. Like, no matter what, it's always too much. It's always traumatizing. And let's face it, 3 months in jail, if I went to prison right now for 3 months, when I got out, it's not going to jail for 3 months. It's when I get out, my life is devastated.
Yeah.
I've had
bills, where to live.
Everything.
Yeah.
My car
Not everybody
insurance.
gets out to a family of support.
Absolutely. So 3 months to some people would just tank their entire life. It'd take them
paycheck to paycheck,
2 or 3 years to get back on their feet. Yep. 2 or 3 years.
I was all set up to do the A&E show 60 Days In.
Okay.
I was signed up. They had actually advanced me $10,000 or something like that out of the $40,000 that they were going to pay.
Nice.
And everyone's like, oh, I was like, dude, I went to prison 60 days in county jail, and it's not even like I know that I'm like it's a different mindset. I was like, no big deal. But I ended up backing out of it because I watched all of the at the end of every episode or the end of every season, they do like a roundtable get together. And they paint such a they create the scenario where you can tell through editing that they make everybody kind of look bad in a way. I was like, this isn't going to help my prison consulting.
Right.
The people that kind of watch this, I don't think are going to federal prison. The people that are watching this are the people that are, probably watching, what's the one where the hip hop, loving hip hop and stuff.
Right.
It's a little bit of a different audience.
Yeah.
And I was like,
these are like street guys that are watching.
Yeah. I was like, this could actually hurt my business because to get by in there and to make it interesting, you got to go out and do stupid shit. I was like, I don't know if this fits the forte of what I'm doing.
Well, the main guy
he committed suicide.
Who, the black guy?
Oh no, the white guy that was on a bunch of seasons.
Oh Jesus! There was a black guy that was a former police officer.
Oh yeah.
That had gone in there. Like he actually contacted me.
Oh really?
And we talked on the phone a couple of times, and he was saying, look, like A&E wants to do kind of like a podcast type show with he and another guy where they talk about crimes and I guess they go over crimes or they interview other people, and he said they want me to have like a co-host, like I want you to be my co-host. And we talked for a little bit. I was like, yeah, tell them I'm interested, let me know, blah, blah. And then I mentioned it like on Concrete, and then somebody in the comments of Concrete contacted him and say, hey bro, you're gonna be doing a thing with Cox. Then he contacts me and he's like, yo bro, like why would you say that? Like that's supposed to be on the down low, and I went.
He probably wasn't supposed to tell anybody.
Well,
usually you got to sign. Did they make you sign anything?
Well, no, I never signed anything because it was only a conversation. Like he was going to go to them and say, "Hey, like this is nothing. This is a preliminary conversation."
I had to sign a whole.
Well, I didn't get that far.
Yeah.
And this wasn't me going on the show. This was he was talking about doing a whole separate show. So I was like, okay, well, you didn't mention that. Well, bro, you should know better. You've been in prison. You should know, brother. I said, well, but then you don't know me at all, bro.
Yeah.
I was like, guess what? I'll tell on anybody. I ain't
see 5K1 tattooed on my neck.
You ain't
in Old English.
Yeah, I'm not keeping my mouth shut for nothing. You better you got to tell me.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know what you're. We never talked again.
Right. He probably got grief on him. He probably signed something, and now, No, when A&E made me, I had to do a whole. They made me do a psychological eval. Dude, it was like the most intense. It took about 6 hours to do this, the psych eval thing. It was intense.
I mean, I've only watched the show a little bit, but
it's every episode's the same.
Yeah, it does. The problem is it does seem like county jail.
Yeah.
And
it is.
It's a lot of politics and bullshit,
Yep.
guys stabbing each other in the back and
Yep.
people trying to fuck each other over and
Yep.
sucking up to each other and I was just thinking, like I could put up with that for 6 months.
Yeah.
But
60 days.
I'm sorry, 60 days. I could put up with that, but it would be a pain.
Yeah. Yeah, $40,000.
I like $40,000 for 60 days.
You get taxed on the money. So they give you a lump sum up front. It was half of it you get up front. You get half when you sign everything, and then you get the other half right before you go. And then the rest of it is given to you in the form of like a paycheck where taxes come out. So you got to pay taxes on the first part out of yourself, pay that tax. And then the other rest of it, they take the taxes out as they give it to you. But it was a big deal because I couldn't talk about it. But once I refund, I had to give the money back. That part sucked. Yeah. So I'd spent most of it, but I had
you're what they call hit.
Yeah,
in prison.
You got a payment plan?
Yeah,
but because I had every reason. I mean, I was gonna go. It was like we were prepped to go. Shelly was very bummed about it because our dogs were sick. And that was the other thing. One of our dogs died when I would have been away, and that would have been couldn't have done it. That would have been it. I would have been like, whatever the signal is, get me out of here. Fucking whatever the signal is. I'm done. I'm out.
Cobra.
Yeah.
Cobra. Poor Connor. He doesn't think
Connor. You're going to be a different man. 20 years from now, you're going to be talking about this in therapy.
Yeah.
All right. So
the smell.
Back to Mr.
smell.
Moore.
Sorry. Yeah. Let's play this. So what's
this is we asked Hunter, what regrets do you have?
Just wish I'd gone harder.
If there was any regrets, is that I didn't go 10 times harder. That's probably my only regret, to be honest. If I'm being,
amazing.
I mean, look, I'm not here to cry a river. I've done my time. Like, obviously, these people were affected by the site, and I feel bad for them, and they obviously need to air their grievances. But at the end of the day, I did my time. You guys wrote and did all this stuff about me and my fans and all these lies. So but I had a great time. I'm not going to regret anything. I don't regret anything. And I wish I went 10 times harder because the outcome would have been the same.
The outcome. Okay. First of all, he's wearing what we call in prison Chobo 2000s.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are the sex offender. They look just like the sex offender glasses.
Those are the reading glasses you get off commissary.
Yeah.
Stylish.
Yeah. So, secondly, he looks like a sex offender with the beard and everything, but also it doesn't. Yeah, that answer is just such a shit answer.
Fucking
it's just
trash, pussified.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, he's got to lose the beard. It's almost like he's in disguise.
I think he's. Do you know what a neck beard is? The term?
No.
So when you go to Walmart and you see the grown man, probably 30, 40 years old, is wearing green or gray sweatpants, has a whole face full of beard. He's got a cart full of Mountain Dew, and you hear him talking on his headset about how he's going to go home and play Call of Duty in his basement.
Yeah.
At his mom's house or grandma's house.
And you're saying that they call them neck beards because he didn't even shave his neck. Yeah.
And they have neck beard nests. So when you get into their basement, it's just Mountain Dew cans and Hot Pocket packages everywhere. So, I bet 100 more lives in it. Have you heard the term neck beard before? Okay.
You know what Connor's thinking? I got to clean my room.
Yeah, Connor's like, don't buy Mountain Dew in public. That's all. Buy it on Amazon.
Yeah, that's just a horrible answer. I feel bad for those people and all. You don't sound like you feel bad for those people.
I feel bad, but I would go 10 times harder.
Right.
The contradiction is, and this is where I was still didn't know how to fucking take it. Like, I'm like, how do I respond? That's why I don't even show myself asking him the questions. What's the last question we got? Is there one more?
There's 2 more.
Oh, 2 more. One of them, he kind of loses his shit a little bit. Let's keep it going.
Well, here's the thing. You kind of have to go back in time. There's like a greater context to all this stuff. First of all, I don't even know my co-defendant. And they could, like I told you before in my previous interviews, they were trying to get me. They were trying to say they were taking our servers. They were trying to do anything they could to take me down. My co-defendant, I didn't even remember his name till you just said it right now because I don't know him. He was befriended by a friend of mine's cousin who worked for me because he went to SDSU. We used to go to clubs and we buy pictures from everybody, DJs, celebrities, all kinds of stuff because nudes were the commodity. So for me, you know, my ex-employee, that's just what we did, man. We were just stupid 20-year-old kids. As far as them being hacked, I didn't know they were being hacked until later. That's where the conspiracy came in, is because I didn't report it. I was just like, all right, whatever. This is weird. Let's kick rocks. Let's keep it going. And that's how they got me on a conspiracy charge. All my charges are my co-defendant's charges. That's why it's a conspiracy.
No.
Yeah.
No, you participated in the conspiracy. Yeah.
He orchestrated the conspiracy.
I was gonna say,
remind me, Connor, I'll send you the links that you can post. I downloaded all of the indictments for him and his co-defendant, and I created.
Nice.
So I'll give you the links. You can post them.
Nice.
So because people want to read the stuff.
Yeah, of course.
Because he sounds fucking believable.
Right. Well, you know what kills me is
for people that don't know
the other videos. I meant to mention this. I love he keeps saying like, "Yo, man, I did my time. Like, how much time did he get?
30-something months. And he did RDAP.
You got 30 months. Did RDAP in what, a camp?
He went to a low.
In a low,
which I don't understand why he went to a low and not a camp. It had to be something to do with the crime.
No, I don't think so. I think. Well, wait, is he in California?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, you're right. In California, so the different regions.
There's plenty of camps. He could have went to Sheridan. He could have went to Lompoc.
I'm saying in general, like in the oh God, what am I trying to say? The southeast, region, kind of the country.
Right.
Like typically, you go to a low. And then very quickly, they either bring you to a camp or they move you to a medium or you stay at the low, right?
Every single one of my clients starts at a camp.
Really? So
Every single one
are
of
you
them.
Doing something? I mean,
these are just all first-time, nonviolent, short-time offenders.
See, I know tons of guys that exactly the same. What you just
said.
I
went to a low and not a camp,
right?
But I had an open case. I had a detainer, which prevents you.
Tons of people that go straight to lows and then 6 months later, boom, into a camp, and that's what I was told. By one of the counselors, they were like, basically in this area, you typically go to a low, and then they kind of figure out where they're going to put you from there.
Most people that self-report, self-surrender,
right,
go to a camp. They're
well, if they self-surrender,
he self-surrendered.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. But I was going to say in California, typically you'll go straight to a camp. Like if they're like, no, he's low, his score is this, he's low, go to a camp. But he self-surrendered, and you're saying he went to self-surrendered or went to a
Beaumont low, yeah.
To a low.
He once conned Bank of America out of $250,000 using nothing but a fake ID and his charm. He is the most interesting man in the world.
I don't typically commit crime, but when I do, it's bank fraud. Stay greedy, my friends.
Support the channel. Join Matthew Cox's Patreon.
How do you explain the proof of hacking the indictment shows it came from your email? He didn't like that question.
It's not me. It's parts of me. You got to understand, it was a company email. So I had multiple people, 5, 6, 7 people on that email address. It didn't matter. They just wanted me to make an example of me. Now, we could go real deep into the hacking stuff, even though it's pretty shallow. Do I regret that? Which is probably what you're headed towards.
Yeah, trying to,
Yeah, of course, dude. I mean, it is what it is, but like, I don't know. It's just like, it's kind of null and void to me, like in the long run. Like, oh my God, you were so fucking affected by your busted ass titties being put on the internet that 10 years, 12 years later, you go, don't wear a bra on a Netflix documentary. Get the fuck out of here, dude. This shit is so fucking stupid. Your mom writes a book about it. I'm just so done. It's so fucking annoying. I'm sorry. Can we move on? Like, what else do you want me to do? That kid that hacked her was some guy that was obsessed with her. Like, I have nothing. I don't know these people. I don't.
But this is all like a blatant lie. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I watched the indictment, and then they show the the text messages and then, all the emails of him going back and forth, telling the guy, do this, do that. I'll send you money here. Open a different PayPal account. Like,
dude, in the indictment itself, in the criminal indictment and in the criminal complaint, the government has the IP. They posted the IP addresses as part of the evidence, and it showed he's trying to say it was an employee of mine working.
Not at your IP address. Not.
He's trying to say he had people working out of his house on his computer without him knowing it. He's fully nobody. There was nobody else. It was just him.
First of all, if you didn't do it and it was beatable and it was all bullshit, why didn't you just go to trial?
Right.
Go to trial.
And even that, even that, you and I both know that can be excused with it's still tough. But for people that don't know, the government will stretch, right?
Oh yeah.
But they're not going to forge indictments. They're not going to put stuff in there that didn't really happen.
Right.
For him, it's black and fucking white that he lied. And I'm almost happy I didn't see the stuff earlier because I never would have had the content. But by the case being sealed, it was in his best interest. I think his co-defendant had it unsealed because his co-defendant, I think his name is Charles something. Somehow he hasn't taken it because he stays out of the fucking radar.
Right.
He doesn't go online and start talking about it. Hunter,
he's still desperate for fucking attention.
That's what it is. He would rather have the attention of these underground trolls that are all using fake names. All these people that are on his Discord, these are people that are probably living regular lives that go online and pretend to be somebody else. Do you watch South Park at all?
No. But I mean, I've seen some episodes.
Anybody watches South Park, when you watch the episodes about when Kyle's dad or whoever, Stan, is doing he's trolling people. He's like Troll Hunter 300. And it's basically all these people that are fictitious. They become somebody that they're not. He is the leader of the fictitious fucking nerds, the neckbeards. He basically leads a bunch of neckbeards. And none of the neckbeards are real. He's the only real person that gets off on this stuff.
So what happened when you put up, like, have you got any heat at all from, have you?
From what?
From you putting up the videos of him?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Almost all the comments are, Dan, why the fuck would you like this? The guy interviewing him is a piece of shit for giving this guy a platform. Fucking scumbag.
Oh, so I was thinking it was going to be like his trolls, little guys coming after you saying, "Fuck you, motherfucker."
No, they don't want. See, they go on his Discord and would say, "Oh, RDAP Dan posted a video," because they want to fuel him up,
right?
Because they know he's a crash test dummy. He doesn't have the ability to think. I mean, what moron, after going to prison and been through all that, would send a text message about, I'm going to come to Florida and beat you up with a stick?
Yeah. And I'm already working on 3 cases right now. Yeah, like you send that to his probation officer and she's going to show up at his house, or he's going to show up at his house and say, you want to explain this to me? What cases should I be looking at?
And then he must have gotten some wisdom from somebody, because then he went silent after that. I'm so mad. I didn't know. Use StreamYard from time to time.
Yeah.
So I recorded. I was on his Discord under a fake name. He didn't know it. So I was on his Discord and I was doing a screen. I was, you know what Discord is, right? So I was streaming his Discord, recording it. But fucking, it's either 12 hours or 24 hours. StreamYard, if you record anything, or it's YouTube, anything past 10 hours or 20 hours, it automatically doesn't save it. It deletes it. And he found out I was in there like 20 hours into it and removed me. Dude, the fucking stuff I had him in there saying, oh my God, it was just such the most vile, disgusting. It would probably be up there with the Donkey Show stuff, the kind of stuff he was talking about, what he wanted to do to these women that were posting stuff online about him, how he wanted to wear studded, spiked strap-ons and rape them in front of their mothers, and like just horrible graphic stuff. Anybody that could say these kind of words,
right,
lives in some kind of fucking. He hates women. He hates women to the fucking T. So I believe he's a sausage party kind of guy.
So what's gonna happen? So what's gonna happen with this guy?
It's already dying down. I mean,
right? But I mean, what's gonna happen? Like, what does a guy like this do for a living? Like this guy, I mean,
he's got to hope he gets a job somewhere doing some geeky IT shit where nobody has ever knows him. If he was smart, maybe his middle name's like Adam. Maybe it's Adam Hunter or Hunter Adam Moore. Maybe he's gonna go by Adam Moore.
Right.
Because the name, you Google the fucking name.
It's everywhere.
It's
yeah,
everywhere.
He's done.
It's everywhere.
So it's okay. So, well, I mean, is he sharp enough to do anything on the? No, he doesn't seem.
He lives
sharp
at home.
enough.
If he was sharp enough,
like first of all, he's got some chick. He's got this Amanda running his whole thing. Like, if you're sharp, why aren't you running? Your whole thing.
Only thing he runs is his Discord.
Okay,
and that's because people they call him the father in there. Father.
That's right. The family. She was
family.
She was talking about the family
family
was after her, right?
Yeah.
In the Netflix.
Yep.
Listen, Connor's gonna go watch it now. Like all this stuff, he's gonna.
You should watch it because
because
it's creepy to see how disturbing the underground internet is, and these slithering, slimy, disgusting worms of people like him.
It's how not to behave, really.
He commands an army of dingbats, basically.
Right. So but I mean, honestly though, look,
there's nothing for him left. There's nothing for him. A bullet.
Jesus.
On his own accord.
Yeah.
Not me doing it to him, but him doing it himself would be the only thing he could really do, I think. It would do his mother a huge service.
Well, I mean, what happens if his mom gets sick and she passes away? Like, where's this guy live? Like, does this guy sell used cars because he can't be decent enough? Well, he could probably fake it. If he faked his way through RDAP, he could probably fake a job.
His address is online. I don't think he could, because I think he would go sell cars and he would have to let people know who he is, because he'd want people to go, "Oh, I saw the Netflix series about you." Yeah.
Yeah,
not really.
And they just move on to somebody else. Yeah,
dude, I met this guy, Adam. He's a tattoo artist. He was on a show. What's that tattoo show? Ink Masters. He's in Melbourne. Robbie Rapole, cool dude. And he came in, did an interview with me and stuff. Lost his leg. He's awesome. He gave my daughter some tattoos. And we start to become friends a little bit. And I tell him about the Hunter Moore thing. And he tells his girlfriend about it. And his girlfriend's like, "I don't want you talking to Dan." Because she watched the series and she hates Hunter so bad that I'm still trying to convince her that, look, I've turned my mindset around on Hunter.
Right.
Like, I'm not pro Hunter. She doesn't know she should trust me around her husband or not.
You can't play with my man.
Yeah. You guys cannot go to the sandbox together.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. You know, Hunter, he's a true, like, he is a modern bully that can't handle being bullied back. Because the minute you put him on the spot, he gets so defensive. He starts talking loud, he gets real handsy, starts bouncing around like a fucking crackhead. It was a horrible interview. And look at. I asked him, like, please have a camera stationary with a computer. Look at this shit I'm dealing with. The fucking camera jerking around the whole time.
So I really feel like, Connor, I feel like we should cut him out and have him like in the corner right here, just his big head kind of.
Oh, I've got a picture of him.
So while we're talking, he can just be, just like that. That really is the guy that lives in the basement. Like, if something happens with his mom and he has to survive on his own, like, I don't know that that's possible with this guy. Like,
absolutely not possible.
I mean, like, he doesn't have the bullshit personality to do.
He's
like, I was
way
gonna say,
too fucking predictable.
Can't he? You don't think he could kind of convert this or parlay this into like a YouTube channel or something? Or he would just say too many bad.
He could, if he would be willing to do it the right way. The problem is the only way he could do it right now is the personality he is, and he couldn't get monetized.
Yeah, he can't maintain civility long enough to be functional on YouTube.
This picture,
because I was gonna say, this is the kind of guy that because this is a really, really stupid version of.
Look at the picture of him in the middle.
Is that him?
Yeah.
What the hell?
He looks like
he's.
It looks like he's
He
just got done finishing somebody off.
Jesus, he doesn't look good.
That's the picture I'll send you. Look at his little friend in the background. Him and these two guys just sitting basically naked. They look like boys gone wild.
He's got issues. There's some
psychological mental health breakdowns that maybe his mom is so protective over him because maybe.
Yeah, but what happens when mom's gone?
I'm just saying, maybe something happened to him as a kid. Maybe he was touched inappropriately.
What are you doing? We don't know that, Hunter. I'm sure there was nothing going on. I'm sure it's fine.
Psychologists have said when people act this way, it's usually a pattern. It's a pattern caused by some sort of behavior from a childhood.
Super protective.
Yes.
That's a little off, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure, maybe he can come to grips and say, you know what, I've got to really change my ways. I have to be.
I would advocate him. I'd promote him.
Because you can't function like this in society.
No, he's self-destructive to himself.
Yeah, and who's going to date him? They did have the girlfriend that had dated him.
She only dated him for a minute.
Right.
She really wasn't even around when any of it happened.
Right.
She left because of
once she started figuring out
how insecure he was, and anytime anything would ever happen, he would lash out or just vile, sabotage anything good in his life.
We'll work arms, one day we work arms, right? So, and I'm like, yeah, I go light. And she's like, I'm doing as much as you. I go, I know, but I don't really like to work arms. She goes, why? I go, because when my arms start to get
too big, you look like Popeye.
I look ridiculous. I look like my arms are already short.
Right.
She already makes fun of me. She calls me, she's like, you're my little T-Rex. Because
you're like a Tom Cruise build.
I used to do this
a little
all
bit more
the time.
built than Tom Cruise, but you're like a Tom Cruise stature.
I used to do this all the time, and she says, you look like a little T-Rex when you do that. So, and then one time I dropped my phone in my car, and I had to bend over in my car seat to try and grab my phone. I couldn't reach it.
Your balls, huh?
Busted out laughing. Yeah. She's like, oh my God, T-Rex, I got it. So,
but isn't it great to be in a relationship where you guys can do that?
Yeah, but the problem is I mentioned it. Yes, but I mentioned it, and people will leave little T-Rexes in. They'll put a quote something I said quote, and then something I said quote, and then they'll put a dash and they'll put a little T-Rex as that this is what you just said, and they'll
consider it done.
Oh yeah, listen, it's nonstop. T-Rex this, T-Rex that. So yeah, so it's an issue, and now of course I'm sitting there today at the gym
Do you wear lifts? Do you wear shoes that give you
I do have a little bit of listen, some guys send me stuff where they're like, look, bro, this will give you 2 inches. They'll send me special shoe links, and I'm like, I'm not going to do all that.
He's not taking Viagra for the extra inches. He's taking shoe lifts for the extra inches.
So I'm sitting there, standing there, right? And I'm like, so what's going on? And she this morning, she's grinning and laughing. I go, what? And I go, I'm like, what are you laughing at? And she goes, and I go, what? And she goes, she's like, I go, are you laughing at my arms? And she goes, they're great, baby, but they do look shorter. And I'm like, oh, we're not. And
that's it. Taking a week off.
I'm not working arms anymore. I'm not doing it. I mean, and I've gained I told you, 10, 15 pounds. I'm up to 175, 180. I need to get down to 160, 165.
I was 185 in prison. That was the best weight I've ever been.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Listen, I got up to
I'm like 218 right now.
Oh my God. I was 195 in prison. 190, 195. When I walked out of prison, I was actually 148 pounds the morning I left.
Oh, when you went in, you weighed that.
When I went in 195.
Yeah.
When I went out,
I went in weighing 240 and I came out 180. Wow. In 13 months.
Wow.
Yeah, prison was good for that.
Oh yeah, it's easy. You want to diet in prison, you can.
I tell people are like, what do you, I was like, just the average inmate, unless you're living inside, but if you're outside, just listening to your music, walking, not even for exercise purposes, just for freeing your mind, 15, 20 miles a day is
you can really lap the half mile lap. Or the half mile.
Yeah. The track.
And just walking back and forth. You walk everywhere. There's not
and then at nighttime when they close the outside yard, I'd walk the inside yard.
Yeah. The inside track.
Inside, yeah, whatever. Those were not, look, I don't miss prison, but I do miss some of the routine stuff there with to togetherness and the camaraderie, however you say that.
Yeah.
That was
camaraderie.
There you go.
Right.
That was I'd never experienced that before. You know, it was kind of like I had a lot of cool bromances in there for sure.
Yeah. There were some cool guys. All right. Anything else? Any more? Nothing else. About
I'll send
Hunter?
you some links for Mr. Hunter Moore there.
Yeah.
And I'll send you the links for the interviews too. You know?
Yeah, we got it. If you're watching this, you really ought to watch the Netflix special. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yep.
That it? Oh wait. Oh, and check out Dan's channel, right?
Yeah.
Art App Dan.
I have two of them now. I have Art App Dan, my prison consulting channel, and then I also have another one which I kind of picked up one of your ideas over there.
Yeah, which I stole from. So I stole from Soft White Underbelly, and you're stealing from me. It's fine. It's just trickle down. By the third or fourth guy, like it'll be nothing like.
If I'll send you a link, you'll share it.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
We'll put it in there.
Yeah.
What's it called though?
Perfectly. Well, the channel is called Wise Media Group because we do a bunch of things. But what you're talking about, Perfectly Broken, where we do the interviews with people that have overcome adversity, and you're confused.
Yeah, I do because I thought it was a separate YouTube channel.
Nope. So Wise Media Group,
right,
and Art App Dan are two different YouTube channels. Wise Media Group is the one that I do my interviews with like business entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And then also I do the interviews on there.
On the same channel?
Yeah. I just create playlists.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know if it was going to be something that I was going to stick with or not.
Right.
So now that I've got a few videos, I'm probably going to upload to a separate channel.
Yeah.
But monetizing these channels is just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Unless you cheat the system.
Yeah.
Which I don't advocate.
All right. All right. With that said, I appreciate you who is it?
Booyakasha.
Booyakasha. I appreciate you guys watching, and if you like the video, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified of videos like this, and leave a comment in the comments section. And I'm gonna leave all of Dan's links in the. I'm not really gonna do it. Probably Colby's gonna do it, but or Connor in the description thing. And also check out my Patreon. I sell paintings and I have books. That's pretty much it. I appreciate it. See you.